surfing is all about riding an energy wave. You know, waves have been flying around in the universe since the very first moment of time. You know, quantum physics talks about wave theory and, you know, all sound waves, light waves. We're riding waves. This is really pretty bitchin' what we're doing. And so what we want to do is we want to understand energy. When we're surfing, we're flowing with energy. We're using the energy of that wave. When we're tandem surfing, we also need to be aware of the energy of our partner. It's very significant. When I surf with a surfer girl, like Shannon's a real good surfer, when I surf with her, when I first taught her, she had to learn to stop surfing and to start flowing with my energy. She had to get sensitive to my energy. So we'll do certain energy drills, like in my black belt art of the ninjutsu, of ninja. We'll train beginners like this. When I push, she relaxes, and when I stop, she pushes back. And now she closes her eyes and she does it. So she's really tuning into my energy. We'll do that and do that and do that. Here's another thing. If someone's fighting me, and if I'm fighting her and I'm pushing against her arm, watch what happens when she resists. We'll resist. I can push her body all over the place. Watch what happens when she relaxes. Okay, what do you think happens on a surfboard? Grab me. When she's really tight, and I'm trying to surf, I'm trying to turn, and I can't move. She's like a big piece of stone on my board. Watch what happens when she flows with me. Her knees slightly relax. You know, see how she relaxed? She's not necessarily bouncy, just relaxed. But see how she just flows with me? Her back's against my chest so she can feel me. She falls down. When I need her to, she'll move forward. When I want her to, her legs follow her. So see, she's flowing with me. So surfer girls are really hard to surf with when they're first learning. But she would have this leg forward, and she would be down, and her head would be leaning forward like she wanted to drive forward. And now I got this weight out here I can't deal with. So she always learns, she comes back, and then she's really relaxed. So when I turn, she's relaxed with me. We'll talk more about the actual surfing part later. Okay, this is the basic tandem surfing lift. If you can do this, I think you can officially call yourself a tandem surfer. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell her to turn. I'll watch as I put my hands, and I'm actually turning her so she can feel it. Her hands went straight up and she pirouetted. Her knees are still slightly bent so that she's not putting any energy into the board. I'm going to press down and load her legs, and then she's going to jump. She's going to do all the work. Okay, and then I make it look good by holding her. But she's helping me a lot, so I don't have to be that strong. Okay, so that's called the cradle. The dismount goes the same way. She puts her feet down, she pirouettes, grabs my wrists, and surfs away. The next lift comes out of the cradle, and it's called a swan, or we may refer to it as a cradle to a swan. Starts out the same way. We're surfing. Sometimes when I'm working with a girl, I'll press her knees downwards like this to let her know that her knees are not to be tight. They're there just as shock absorbers. They're not to put any energy in the board at all. The woman shouldn't be putting any energy in the board. She needs to basically just flow with me. Turn. Jump. And I'll even say the word jump. And then I'll yell to her, release. So she's in a hard arch. You can see everything's tight. Butt's tight, toes tight, head is up, hands are up and back. And then she comes down the same way, releases and surfs away. So the dynamics of that is when I'm going to go lift her, I put my hand here. So when I have her like this, I rotate her up. And what do? Basically
extend an arch.
Yeah. So
lock the feet together. It's very important. Feet to be together.
The woman needs to be tight in almost every one of the lifts that we do. We want her presentation to be tight. Even if she's trying to be pretty, she needs to rotate and then be tight again. Everything that she does needs to be tight. Toes pointed, the butt tight. Even the butt tight keeps the legs and hamstrings tight and accelerates the arch. Her head is up. She's not in a Superman position here, which makes her put weight on the front of my hand, which makes me surf off my front leg, which makes it hard to surf. So watch one more time. Cradle. Jump. And then she's going to release. We hold for 3 seconds and come back down. And the women will tend to, when you start to throw them, you have to tell them when to release when they're first learning, because if they don't release in time, they're going to have their hand around your neck. So when you rotate them up, their head will be here and their feet will be way back there. So just as you start to throw, yell release, and that'll put them in the right position. Another thing the girls will do is, when they don't feel comfortable with you, they'll push off your neck like this to try to fix themselves, or they'll hold on to you to try to fix themselves. You're seeing a really good tandem girl doing this, but the girls will tend to push off you, and I tell them, don't do anything, let me do it. I'll throw you up there. If you're not right, I'm going to fix you. The reason why is because I'm the one connected to the surfboard. I'm the one who has the point of balance. Okay, so that's a cradle to a swan. This lift is called a fake arm to arm. It's an overhead lift. It's the first overhead lift that I like to teach people to do. This one you're going to see now while we're getting ready. I'm always testing her knees to make sure she remembers to be soft. And see how her back's against my chest so she can follow me wherever I go. Okay, now I'm going to say turn to her, but I say turn as I help her turn. See how she pirouettes and she doesn't step away from me. Most girls will step away when they're first learning this. And notice how even after the pirouette, then she gets her knees nice and soft. I'm going to press her up, and she's going to bend at her hips and at her knees and hold it for you. We're going to show it to you in stages. Ready? This is the first stage that she's going to find herself in. You know, when we actually do it, you don't even notice this, but it's really important that her hips and her knees stay bent when the lift is initiated, because otherwise it just doesn't work. So now that I'm locked out, and what did you say, Shannon?
Make sure your arms are locked. The girl's arms are locked.
Now that both her arms are locked out, now she slowly extends. It's important that she slowly extends, because if she makes it a quick motion, it'll throw me off the board. Okay, rebend and come down. Okay, what's really is important about this is that when you're going into this lift, let it go up like that and then extend. What will almost happen every time when a woman is learning this is her arms won't be locked out, so she'll start kicking with her legs to try to get her arms locked out. What's important about this lift and every lift is that you do the technique and the form will follow. So the important thing for her is that she pushes down with all she can and keeps pressing, and eventually her arms get straight. It isn't that she has the objective to get her arms straight. Her objective is to press. And guess what? Her arms do go straight. Once they're locked out, then she extends. Can you explain the dynamic of how you're making the jump, what you're doing with your hands and your hips?
Press down and you bring your hips up.
And then you rebend your hips and your knees. When the girls make this jump, they always jump with their legs really, really straight. And I have to tell them 2 or 3 times, no, don't forget to bend your hips and your knees. If the girl doesn't bend her hips or knees, watch what happens. Okay, if she doesn't help me with this, she's going to jump really high and watch what happens. That's all. She has to bend her hips or knees or she can't make this rotation that direction. Yeah. Okay, so now out of the fake arm to arm, there's a really cool lift called the side bird. It's your first one-arm lift. So you see the progression. We went to a below the shoulder lift, to an on the shoulder lift, to a 2-hand above the shoulder lift. Now we want to do 1 hand above the shoulder lift. Now when I have my arms locked out, I also want you to notice the position here. When I'm lifting her, my hands are like this on her hips. And every woman has a different balance point, but it's somewhere in this area. So it's not like this, it's like this. Why is that important? Because it allows me to keep my arm locked against my body and fully engage my lats. If it's like this, I can't use my lats at all. And your lat is really what protects your shoulder. Not that's how you damage your shoulder. You gotta always be thinking about how to protect it. Now we're gonna show you how to do a side bird. See, my arms are locked out, my elbows are rotated to the front, my lats are engaged. My arms are locked, so all I have to do is give her a good push with my feet and pop her and watch her rotate. My arm is still totally locked out, and Shannon's legs are crossways. Her hip is pulled up to the sky, and then easy dismount. She rebends her knees, comes down, surfs away.